The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
The man, the myth, the legend. Yup, that's him.
Oh, sugar ducky quack quack.
Just
Yo, what it do, It's your boy Justin or J Will, whatever you want to call me. Hope everybody's doing well out there. Staying safe. Staying clean out there in these streets. Make sure you wash your hands every 20 minutes for 20 seconds. Don't be touching all up on people. Don't be sneezing all on people. Don't be coughing all on people. It should be second nature at this point. But anyway, man, how's everybody doing out there? Sorry for the late upload. Y'all know how things are sometimes. Or maybe you don't, but I apologize. But yeah, what I gotta talk about today, man. I talk about a few things. We get into the NFL draft. NFL draft is a week from Thursday, a week from today, when I'm recording this. So I'm gonna talk about that. I haven't talked about the draft all year, which is very unusual for me, but I'm gonna talk about it today, give you my thoughts and opinions on some things. Also gonna touch on a couple of NFL rumors. Got OBJ going to the Vikings, or at least there's some talk about OBJ going to the Vikings, and a couple more things. So sit back, relax, and just rock with your boy, man. I appreciate you for dropping in, checking in on me, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with me. So for that, I appreciate it. So let's hop right into it. Let's talk about the NFL draft. NFL draft, week from now. A lot going on. A lot to discuss. Your boy Joe Burrow. Your boy Tua Tagovailoa. Derrick Brown. Justin Herbert. Jeff Okudah. Jerry Jeudy. This looks to be a pretty stacked draft. I'm not even going to lie. It looks like a pretty stacked draft. This could be a historic draft, if you ask me. I mean, I think from top to bottom, you got a lot of talented dudes, man. I mean, from the quarterback position to running backs to wide receiver, it's a super deep wide receiver draft this year. I mean, defensive linemen, offensive tackles real good. You're going to be able to find some really good players in this draft. So, of course, number one overall, Joe Burrow. That's the consensus number one pick pretty much. And I'm not going to lie, I'm kind of weary on Joe Burrow a little bit, just for the simple fact that he had all this success in 1 year. I'm really wary of those guys who have success in 1 year and 1 year only. But his 1 year was damn good. I mean, it was damn good. What did he throw, like 60-some touchdowns? Beat a bunch of top 10 schools. I mean, Joe Burrow was prolific. And now a lot of people like to say, oh, well, you know, he had those stud receivers. He had a good team around him. Well, they also had Joe Burrow, too. I guarantee you put Jalen Hurts back there, they ain't doing all that. Oh, man, I just had to take a shot at Jalen Hurts. Anybody who listens to the show for a long time, man, y'all know how I feel about Jalen Hurts. But anyway, I think that Joe Burrow will be a pretty good pro. You know, being in that pro-style offense for that, even if it's just for that 1 year. Well, I mean, he went to Ohio State, but he didn't get a lot of playing time, so he ended up transferring to LSU. Didn't have a good year last year, especially when you compare it to what he did this year. So I think that he'll be okay. I like some of his traits. Of course, you know, there's the leadership. Oh, he's a leader. He's a winner. But I feel like when I watched him, he had all the things that translated to success in the NFL. Like, some things you just can't teach. The guy was deadly accurate. I mean, every time I watched him play, it's just like he would just throw these passes. I mean, a lot of people, like even in the championship game, remember a lot of people, they were trying to get on the cornerback for Clemson, AJ Terrell. I mean, he took it to him a little bit that game. a lot. But yeah, a lot of people were trying to get on AJ Terrell for having bad coverage, but he had pretty good coverage. But man, Joe Burrow was just throwing some darts, man. At the end of the day, good coverage only gonna take you so far. I mean, if the receiver play it right and the quarterback can put it in the right spot, I mean, it ain't too much you can do. So Joe Burrow is just deadly accurate, man. I mean, he throws a beautiful ball placement. That stuff translates to the NFL, if you ask me. Now, I'm no NFL guy. I'm no NFL player. I'm no freaking NFL scout, anything like that. But this is just my armchair review, my armchair scout analysis. And I feel like my armchair scout analysis counts for something. At least in my world, it does. But I like Joe Burrow, and I think that Cincinnati, you know, they have some pieces. I mean, they got Tyler Boyd. He's pretty good. I like Joe Mixon out the backfield. I don't think that they are as bad as their record would indicate. I'm not really that familiar with the coach. Matter of fact, I forget his name, Zach Taylor. Came from Sean McVay's coaching tree or whatnot. I don't really know about him too much. Apparently, he's an offensive mind. So, you know, maybe he could do something with Joe Burrow when he gets there. But I like Joe Burrow. And if Cincinnati can surround him, if they can protect him, if they can surround him with some pieces, which they have some pieces in place already, but if they can surround him, nurture him, and get him in the right environment, try to create a winning environment, I think that Joe Burrow would be a pretty good pro. Now, of course, on the other side, you got Tua Tagovailoa, who a lot of people think that, you know, if he was healthy, that he would end up being the number one overall pick. But unfortunately, he's injured now. So, well, he's not injured now, but he's been injured, and there's a lot of injury concerns with him. And rightfully so, because a lot of the times, if you've been injured in college, you're probably going to be injured in the NFL. The hits don't get softer. The games don't get any easier. It doesn't get any easier going from college to pro. So, valid concerns there. But as far as him being a quarterback, there's no doubt that he is to me, I think he's the better quarterback when healthy. He's the better quarterback than Joe Burrow. And I know that firsthand because I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. Even though I'm from Mississippi, I always wanted to go to Georgia. But when I saw that ACT score that you had to have to get into Georgia, I was like, nah. I was like, nah. And I saw how much it cost. I was like, nah, not happening. But yeah, I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, so I know firsthand about Tua and what he could do. Man, I'm starting to have flashbacks. But I like Tua. I'm not for sure who would get. I mean, a lot of the mock drafts have Miami getting him, which I think would be a valid play. That would be a solid play on their part. Some people have the San Diego Chargers moving up to get him. I can see that. Depending on who you listen to, a lot of people think that the Chargers like Justin Herbert a little bit more. I'm not really into Herbert like that. If you guys have been listening to the show for a long time, when me and my boy AC was on this thing, as a matter of fact, I got to get in contact with AC, man. I've been trying to text AC. I ain't heard from him. I don't know what the hell going on with him. I need to call him. Make sure he all right. You know what I'm saying? Make sure he ain't got that Rona or something like that. I don't know. He probably got an old lady now. Probably ignore him. But yeah, man, I'm not into these big quarterbacks like that. These big 6'6" guys and, you know, the rocket arm. And he's the prototypical quarterback. He has a rocket arm and he can stand in that pocket and he can see into the 20th row and he can throw darts off like Josh Allen and those guys like that. I'm just not into those guys. I mean, you look at a lot of the successful quarterbacks, and I'm not saying that somebody can't lay the groundwork, somebody can't be a trailblazer, but you look at a lot of the quarterbacks, man, a lot of the successful quarterbacks are like 6'3", 6'4", 6'2". I mean, you even look at a guy like Drew Brees and Russell Wilson, they're around, 6 feet, 6'1", something like that. You know, these big guys, these big rocket arm guys, I'm not really into those guys. And, you know, Justin Herbert, I mean, another quarterback from Oregon, Marcus Mariota, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of just my strategy. I guess quarterback can be kind of a different animal is you could potentially find a quarterback anywhere, right? I mean, you look at Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz went to a very small school. The school escapes me. Was it North Dakota State or South Dakota State? It wasn't an FBS school. Let me put it like that. But I mean, he went high in the draft, and he's a Super Bowl champion and had a MVP season or MVP worthy season. He didn't win the MVP because he got injured. But if he wouldn't have gotten injured, he would have won the MVP that year over Tom Brady. So I guess you can find quarterbacks anywhere. But my draft strategy, in all honesty, and I remember Bill Parcells saying this, that, I want to pick guys. I want to go to the schools and I want to pick my guys. I guess I should say based off what school they went to. But a lot of offensive linemen come from the Big Ten. A lot of defensive linemen come from the SEC. A lot of cornerbacks come from Florida. A lot of cornerbacks come from Florida State. A lot of cornerbacks come from LSU. So I want to go to these spots where they're producing these players. Okay, I want to go to those spots. Those are the schools that I'm honing in on. I'm honing in on those particular schools. So lately, Ohio State, they've been producing a lot of cornerbacks. So, you got one coming out this year, Jeff Okudah. I'll get into him with the Lions in a little while. But, you got Jeff Okudah, and then you got C.J. Henderson from Florida. Florida, they've produced a lot of NFL cornerbacks. You got like Joe Hayden, Janoris Jenkins. They produced a lot of NFL talent as far as the defensive backfield is concerned. They produce a lot of NFL talent, period. But, I want to go to the places where they're breeding these positions. So I don't know if Oregon is on my list as a place where they're breeding top quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just me. And just from looking at Justin Herbert, the little bit that I've seen, I'm not that impressed with him. I'm just not into these big guys like that. I'm just not into them. They don't really do anything for me. I'm not into them. But of course, somebody falls for this every year. They fall for it all the time. And I will say this, Josh Allen has looked better than I thought he was going to look. I will give you that. Now, he's still missing some passes, and he's still throwing some rockets that he doesn't need to throw. But he does look better than what I thought he was going to look. But I'm just not into Justin Herbert. But Tua, I'm into Tua. I think Tua is the real deal. I think that dude's the real deal. For real. I mean, accurate. That he has an arm. He can throw it on a rope, man. He has it. To me, he has it all. The only thing with him is just he's injured. He's just been injured a lot. So if I was Miami, I would definitely take Tua. I mean, you don't have to start him. You can start Fitzmagic for another year and just have Tua sit behind him. Even if you're San Diego and you can move up in front of people and you feel like you want to take Tua, well, take Tua and sit him. Start Tyrod Taylor. And you could do like a lot of other teams do, right? I mean, depending on how Tyrod Taylor ends up, maybe Tyrod Taylor ends up injured. Unfortunately, he probably will because he's always been kind of nicked. Well, then you bring Tua in and have him start the latter part of the season. I think the last I saw, Tua seems to be pretty healthy right now. Some reports have said that he may be able to start day one. He may be able to start the first game of the season. Now, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but that's what people are saying. So, I like Tua. As far as what Detroit is going to do, man, now you guys know Detroit is my team, and they've put me through the ringer for a number of years. I'm trying not to curse. I'm trying not to explode. But as far as what I think we should do, this is what I think we should do. I think we should trade back. I think that we should trade back and pick Derrick Brown. I'm a really big Derrick Brown fan. I like that dude. Defensive tackle out of Auburn. Big guy. ferocious, very productive in the SEC. Okay, once again, here we go again, right? Going to the places where they breed these guys. Auburn, defensive line. SEC, defensive line. LSU, Georgia, South Carolina. Yeah, this is where they breed those positions. They breed those positions in the SEC. So I like Derrick Brown. Now that doesn't mean that everybody that comes from those schools are going to be good, but I'm just saying if I'm going to take a chance, I want to look. My first look is going to be at those particular schools. I'm going to look at the schools where they produce those players, those positions. I love Derrick Brown. If I'm Detroit, I'm trading back and I'm getting Derrick Brown. Because a lot of mock drafts have them drafting Jeff Okudah. I'm just going to be honest. I haven't watched a lot of Okudah. Apparently, he's supposed to be really good. I mean, from what I've seen, I'm going to trust the sources that I've read, the tape that I've seen, the highlights that I've seen. He looks to be pretty good. And he could end up being another shutdown corner. A lot of people have compared him to Marshawn Lattimore as far as his play style. And, of course, Marshawn Lattimore came from Ohio State. And Marshawn Lattimore is a really good corner. Really good corner. So, I mean, I guess he made the All-Pro team this year. I'm not for sure. But he's a top-tier corner. Let me put it like that. And Jeff Okudah projects to be a top-tier corner. Me, personally, I would just rather have the game record defensive lineman. Because if you can get a quarterback off his spot, I mean, you could be, I guess, you could have a really good cornerback, right? And he could take a receiver out of the game. You could D him up, or you can put him on the side, and maybe he just erases that side. But me personally, I just feel like, man, if you could really get the quarterback off his spot, if you could really affect, like, look, pressure bust pipes. You get to that quarterback, man. It's no holds barred. If you can get to the quarterback, especially up the middle, you doing something. Quarterbacks don't like that. And on top of that, he's a really good run defender. So now you have, a 2-for-1. And he's athletic. He's an athletic big guy. Like, he can run around, and he's strong, swift. I mean, I just can envision him just being a game wreck. We have not really replaced Ndamukong Suh since he left. So, I feel like if we take Derrick Brown, that would be an instant upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Like, to chase around the Aaron Rodgers, the Kirk Cousins of the world, the Mitch Trubisky's of the world. Not saying that Mitch Trubisky and Kirk Cousins are on Aaron Rodgers' level, but I'm just saying, got to be able to sack these guys. Got to be able to get to them. And we sucked last year. I think, man, we were like last in sacks. Like bottom half of the league in sacks. You're not getting to the quarterback at all. They went out and got Trey Flowers, which, I mean, I guess he was a pretty good pickup. But besides that, we really don't got anybody who can really get to the quarterback. We need to recreate that defensive line that we had when Jim Schwartz was there. Now, I don't think that Jim Schwartz is a good head coach. The one thing about Jim Schwartz, boy, he can coach the defensive line. Oh, partner, he can coach that defensive line, man. Real talk. You see what he did up in Philadelphia. You see what he doing in Philadelphia. With that defensive line, he just ain't got a secondary. But that defensive line is on point, for sure. He can coach defensive line. I mean, that's why he ended up getting a job in Detroit, because he did such a good job with Tennessee. Remember, Tennessee once upon a time had a really good defensive line. And Jim Schwartz was the architect of that. So that's how he ended up getting, he did such a good job with Tennessee, he ended up getting a job with Detroit. So we need to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. Now, would I be mad if we take Jeff Okudah? I wouldn't be mad necessarily. But I just feel like either way, we could probably trade back and get Okudah or Derrick Brown, depending on how far we trade back. You know what I'm saying? If we trade back to like the 6th pick, maybe trade with somebody like with LA with the Chargers, I think we still be in position to end up getting one of those guys. But me, I am a Derrick Brown fan. And I think we should draft Derrick Brown. And of course, we won't draft Derrick Brown because I want them to draft Derrick Brown because they never draft anybody I want them to draft. It's just like last year, I wanted them to draft Montez Sweat out of Mississippi State. He was right there. He was right there. And who do we take? T.J. Hawkinson. T.J. freaking Hawkinson. That's who we take. Take a tight end. Do you guys realize that we're pretty much the only team in the last 10 to 12 years to take a tight end in the first round? We took Brandon Pettigrew in that Matt Stafford draft. We took Eric Ebron back in 2014, 2015, something like that. And now we're taking T.J. Hawkinson. So the only other teams I can remember who took a tight end in the first round was who was it? I think New York did recently. The Giants with Evan Ingram. And then I can't remember the other one. Who was the other first round tight end? Who was? It's hard for me to think about it because it just doesn't happen that often. So within the last 12 years, we've selected a tight end. You know what? I think I know. Denver selected Noah Fant in the first round. The same draft that T.J. Hawkinson got drafted in last year. Noah Fant. Or Fant, whatever his name is. For the Denver Broncos. So we've drafted 3 freaking tight ends. 3. Okay? The first 2 didn't work. And for some reason we think that the 3rd one's going to work. Now he didn't impress me at all this year. I don't care what the local Detroit media says because they never say anything bad about the team. That's how local media works. They never say anything bad about the team. Everybody's good. Everybody's all-star. Everybody's Pro Bowler. Everybody deserved this. Everybody deserved it. I wasn't that impressed with him. The only good game he really had was against Arizona, which that was early in the season. And come to find out, everybody had a good game against Arizona if you were a tight end. Hell, I could have suited up with a random team, played tight end, and got a touchdown against Arizona. Because everybody scored against Arizona. They were terrible against tight ends last year. They flat out sucked. We just didn't know that at the beginning of the season. I'm not impressed with T.J. Hawkins. I wanted them to draft Montez Sweat, man. We could have had. So, I like even though I'm against Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia trying to get all these, I'll get into Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn a little, but they're trying to get all these damn Patriot players, and they're trying to create the Detroit Patriots. They need to stop that. They need to stop that crap. But I do like the fact that they went out and got Danny Shelton. I like Danny Shelton. I think that he's a solid guy, defensive tackle. I think that he's a good pickup. And, of course, he's an expatriate. Whatever. But I like that pickup. So, think about it, man. We could have had Trey Flowers, Montez Sweat, Danny Shelton, and we'd be in a position to get Derrick Brown this year. That is a really good starting defensive line. That is a really good starting for a defensive line. But, of course, they won't do that. And, of course, every fan, they think that they know everything, right? Every fan could have been a general manager. Every fan could draft better than the current general manager can. But, hey, man, look here. When I say I could do it. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling you, if the Lions had a list of me and what I've been saying and the dudes that I've been wanting them to draft, I'm telling y'all, we be straight. We be more than straight. For real, I guarantee you we have some playoff wins. But yeah, man, I hope they draft Derrick Brown. I won't be too mad if they draft Okudah, like I said, but I really like Derrick Brown, man. I really like that dude. I think he has all-pro, perennial Pro Bowler, perennial all-pro potential. I really like him. Seems to be made of the right stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? And just be able to put that pressure on the quarterback. And if you guys don't think putting pressure on the quarterback is important, talk to Kansas City. You better talk to Kansas City. You see what they went out and did? They went out and got Frank Clark. And then they got Chris Jones. And I don't care how good Patrick Mahomes is. They ain't winning that game without Chris Jones. In that middle, blowing up plays. They don't stop Derrick Henry without Chris Jones. I don't care how good Patrick Mahomes is. He could be the Messiah. He could be Jesus Christ himself. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter. Look, man, you got to be able to get to a quarterback. And you got to be able to stop people. I get it. You need to be able to cover. But Kansas City didn't have no alt, man. They didn't have no Pro Bowlers at the cornerback position. The only person they had was Tyrann Mathieu. And he played safety. Look, man, you got to be able to get to the quarterback, man. End of discussion. So, I want us to draft Derrick Brown. Now, like I said, they probably won't, but that's who I would like. That's who I would like for them to draft. Now, Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn. Oh, man, I just really hope that I really don't like Matt Patricia. And I don't like Bob Quinn either. I don't like either of these guys. I really don't. I hate. I shouldn't say I hate them because I don't know them, but I really don't like them. Okay, the thing I hate with all these expatriate people, expatriate personnel, they have this aura about them, and they just tend to think that they're better than everybody. Matt Patricia strikes me as somebody who just thinks that he's so much smarter than you. Bob Quinn, he's just so much smarter than you. Like, he's just that much more intelligent than the average person. You even look at a guy like Bill O'Brien, another Patriot disciple, another Bill Belichick disciple. All these Bill Belichick Patriot disciples, they think that they're smarter than everybody else. Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, Bill O'Brien, Josh McDaniels. All these guys think that they can outthink the room. Bill O'Brien, look at me. I'm gonna trade my all-pro wide receiver for a injured running back and a sack of dust, a sack of rocks. Look at me. I'm way smarter than you. See, you guys don't realize what's going on, but see, I know what's going on. And at the end of the day, I make the decisions. See, I'm way more. See, that's why they made me general manager. See, that's what he's saying in the back of his mind right there. That's why they made me general manager. They didn't make you general manager. Stuff gets on my nerves. I'm not a big fan of Matt Patricia. I don't think he's a good coach. I mean, we heard about the situation with him and Darius Slay. Oh, he said some things about Darius Slay, former cornerback for the Detroit Lions. They traded him to Philadelphia, and Darius Slay basically said that Matt Patricia said some disrespectful stuff, and from that point on, the relationship was not good, and he didn't respect Matt Patricia as a man. And ever since Matt Patricia got to Detroit, we've heard a lot about him and the players not really respecting him. I remember reading this when he first got there. Like, he threw a lot of players off because, of course, you know how Patriots coaches have to do. They have to try to bring the Patriot way, and this is how we're going to practice, and this is how we're going to do this, that, and the third, and that threw everybody off, and everybody didn't like that. All the players weren't necessarily on board with the way that he was doing things. And so I think that this Darius Slay situation has just made a lot more of the players in that locker room not like Matt Patricia. Just like I said before with Bill O'Brien, the DeAndre Hopkins situation with him trading him away, that doesn't sit well with the players in that locker room. So me personally, I think that Bill O'Brien's going to end up getting fired soon, especially if they start off slow. If they start off slow, they go 0-3 or something like that. Yeah, you can book it. He's on. He's gone. And as much as I want to see my team win, I honestly wouldn't mind us going 0-3 and somebody deciding to fire Matt Patricia. Now, do I think that's going to happen? We may go 0-3, but I don't think Matt Patricia's going to lose his job. At least he's not going to lose it in the middle of the season. It would be after the season is over. But yeah, I just don't like. I don't like their demeanor. I don't like the way that they try to. They think that they're better. They think that they're smarter than everybody because they came from the Patriots. But look here, man. Unless you're actually Bill Belichick, and you can bring Tom Brady, you can't bring the Patriots with you. You're not Bill Belichick. Matt Stafford's not Tom Brady. Okay, that team. There's only one New England Patriots organization, and they're in New England or Foxborough, wherever the hell they are. So I'm not really that big a fan of Matt Patricia. I hope that Bob Quinn gets this draft right. I've been very disappointed with his previous draft picks. I'm not even gonna lie. The only draft pick that I can really say that Bob Quinn has hit on since he's come to the Detroit Lions is Golladay. Now, I would give him Kenny Golladay. He flat out hit on Golladay. I don't know how he did it, but he hit on Golladay. 3rd round, Northern Illinois, wide receiver. He hit on Golladay. I would give him Golladay. But, I mean, Taylor Decker, I guess he's all right, right? I mean, he's not going to any All-Pros. He's not going to any Pro Bowls. Frank Ragnow, still pretty young, I guess. He's all right. Jared Davis, he sucks. Linebacker from Florida, yeah, he sucks. He can't play. But you know what? He goes to work and he just does his job. Yeah, he does his job very poorly. He does it very poorly. Hey, he does his job. He's gonna get these guys to just do their job. Man. You know, pull up your bootstraps and go to work. But you suck at it. Just because you got a job doesn't mean you're good at it. Jesus. All right, calm down a little bit. So that's Detroit. I hope they go for Derrick Brown, but they'll probably end up going with some outside linebacker from Nebraska or something because he just does his job. But yeah, man. I mean, you look at the rest of the draft. You got guys like Jerry Jeudy. You got the Giants sitting right there. They could potentially draft somebody for Daniel Jones to throw the ball to. I think that they need to shore up the protection. Probably go tackle. But, they have some choices right there. A lot of the mocks have them drafting Isaiah Simmons. Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player, don't get me wrong. But I just feel like you got a franchise quarterback. You need to make sure he's protected. And you need to make sure that you got a good enough wall for Saquon Barkley to run the ball. So that's just me. Now, they do need defensive talent. Don't get me wrong. They for sure need some defensive talent because last year, that was not it. Me, I like Daniel Jones. I think he has a fumbling problem. I think he can get over that. But if you look at the Giants last year, man, a lot of their problems came on defense. They couldn't stop anybody. They just flat out couldn't stop anybody. And I couldn't even tell you, besides Alec Ogletree, I couldn't even tell you anybody on that defense for real. Or at least at the linebacker position. I couldn't tell you any of their pass rushers. I knew Janoris Jenkins was on the team. Eventually, they traded him. And DeAndre Baker, I know him because I look at the draft and he's a Georgia Bulldog. But besides that, I mean, Jabril Peppers. I mean, okay, so maybe I knew a few people. But besides that, I really didn't know anybody. They really didn't have an identity. So they needed defensive talent. I'm not mad at anybody saying that they should draft Isaiah Simmons. But I feel like they need to shore up the offensive line position to protect Daniel Jones. Another thing to look at, the Washington Redskins. I don't know how I skipped over them, but yeah, they had a number 2 overall pick. A lot of people think that they will take Chase Young. Me personally, I'm not a big Chase Young fan. I'm not into these guys that's just bigger and faster than everybody. That does not really work at the NFL level. You have to have some talent. You have to have some real skill. You can't just be bigger. You just can't run around everybody. Okay, you better ask Jadeveon Clowney how that's worked out. And I actually like Jadeveon Clowney. But I knew that he was just kind of just always bigger and faster than everybody that he goes up against. And it's been that way since he was a youth. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you've always been able to just outrun people. You've always been able to outstrength people. You've always been able to outmuscle people. But in the NFL, it don't work like that. You gotta have you some skill, partner. Because if you think you just finna come in there, you think you just finna run around Trent Williams, that ain't happening. You think you just finna run around Tyron Smith, that ain't happening. You think you just finna run around Lane Johnson, that ain't happening, man. These guys are way too good. You gotta have an assortment of moves. You gotta really do your homework. You gotta study tendencies. You gotta know what the hell you doing, man. You can't just get out there all willy-nilly. You just think that because you this big and you this fast that you're going to be able to just run around people. I mean, Chase Young's what, 6'5", 265? I mean, the guy's built like a tank. Don't get me wrong. He's built like a tank. So was Vernon Ghost. Y'all remember him? Ohio State. Selected in the first round. New York Jets. I think he's what, the 6th overall pick, if I'm not mistaken. He did not finish his NFL career with a sack. With a sack. Not one. Okay? Edge rusher, outside. He did not do anything. He wasn't even credited with like half a sack. Half a sack, a third of a sack, nothing. He did absolutely positively nothing in the league. He was another one of these workout warriors. Another one of these defensive linemen who is just bigger and faster than everybody. Speed off the edge. I'm just not into Chase Young like that. I mean, I could be wrong. And you look at Washington, what they have so far. I mean, they've selected defensive linemen in the last 2 drafts, if I'm not mistaken. The kid from Alabama, his name escapes me right now. But you got him, and then they drafted Montez Sweat, which you guys heard how much I like Montez Sweat earlier in this episode. But if Chase Young ends up being any good, well, then you have a pretty good core of pass rushers. Pretty good defensive line there. And they still got Ryan Kerrigan there, even though I've never really been that big a fan of him, but he's been pretty solid. He's getting old now, but he can still he's still serviceable. He can still start. So, Chase Young, I'm not really into him. A lot of draft nicks are, a lot of the scouts are, a lot of the experts are. But I just think that if I had to put my money on somebody to bust this draft, it would be Chase Young. I just don't think that you just don't see those guys really do much. You know what I'm saying? Like those big guys, those big defensive linemen, big defensive ends, big, tall. They just don't really do much. Drafted that early, workout warriors. I mean, the Myles Garrett's of the world. I mean, he's been good, I guess, right? But, has he been all world? Has he been an all pro? I mean, I don't know. They just don't do it for me. They don't do it for me. Chase Young, of course, he could rewrite history. He could be very good. He could be excellent. And look, I ain't hating on the brother. I ain't hating on him at all. I'm just saying I've seen this movie before, and I know how it ends. So that's just my opinion. Another interesting story that seems to be coming out of this draft is the Dallas Cowboys. Apparently, people think that Dallas will draft a receiver. CeeDee Lamb. I'm seeing CeeDee Lamb's name being thrown around. Jerry Jeudy if he gets that far. But Dallas needs to draft defense. That's what they need. They need to either draft a safety, or they need to draft a cornerback, or they need to draft somebody on that defensive line. I don't think that they need to go out here and draft a wide receiver. It's a pretty deep wide receiver draft. And I don't know if they need to spend that early of a selection on a receiver. That's just my opinion. I don't know what Jerry Jones is going to do. I don't know what that front office is thinking. Maybe they go offensive lineman. I mean, Travis Frederick ended up retiring, so maybe they feel like they need to go ahead and try to replace that spot with somebody in the draft. But they need to go defense. I'll just talk about a wide receiver. I know it would be the sexy pick. You know, the Oklahoma-Texas connection, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jones, Oklahoma, Jerry Jones, whatever. But I'm just not. I don't think that Dallas would be doing themselves a favor by taking a wide receiver in the first round. Now, if they wanted to go second round, get somebody like Laviska Shenault. I think that's how you pronounce his name, from Colorado. But then they can go grab somebody like that. But they need to focus on defense. First round. It'll also be interesting to see what New England does because they're going into the season with Jarrett Stidham as their starting quarterback, former Auburn quarterback, but he doesn't have a lot of experience, and obviously you're trying to replace Tom Brady. That is a big, big task, and there's probably really no replacing Tom Brady, but they're going to try to replace him with somebody. And there have been rumors out there that they like Jordan Love, that they may end up drafting a quarterback in the second round, third round. Maybe they draft somebody like Jake Fromm or Jacob Eason in a later round, something like that. But I don't know. Bill Belichick may just say, hey, look what I can do, Tom. I'm going to make Jarrett Stidham. I'm going to go out here and win 11 games with Jarrett Stidham, win the division, and make the playoffs, and potentially win a playoff game without you, Tom Brady. So Bill Belichick may be on that type of time. Or who knows? There's no telling. I mean, I saw a crazy rumor that New England could potentially trade up with Detroit. And, of course, it's draft time and no sports. We need stuff to talk about. And you always hear about these crazy rumors. Some of them could be true. Some of them are just smoke. But I'm telling y'all this, man. If New England ends up trading all the way up to the number 3 pick with the Detroit Lions, for you guys who don't know, Detroit, Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia, as I alluded to earlier in the podcast, came from New England. So there's the connection there. Bob Kraft, Bill Belichick, Matt Patricia, Bob Quinn, there's the connection. They end up doing that. I will hop in my car and I'm driving to Detroit. I don't care how long. I don't know how long the drive is from where I live, but it really don't matter. We're just going to type it into the GPS and just go. I'll just take my stuff and leave. If New England does some crap like that, the only way you even think about doing something like that, if you're Detroit, is if they put Stephon Gilmore into the package. First of all, they're going to have to give us a number 1 pick this year. Their number 1 pick, which is it's in the 20s. And their pick next year. So 2 first-round picks and Stephon Gilmore. Now, if they go that route, well, now you got me listening. But there's no way in hell I would do something like that. Like I said, that's just rumors. That's just stuff people kind of make up. But I wouldn't dare. Unless they were talking about throwing in Gilmore. Because I'm just a really big fan of Derrick Brown. And I could be wrong about them. We all know the draft is a crapshoot. Okay, I've been wrong on players before. Just like everybody's been wrong on players before. But I feel like Derrick Brown is a really good player. And I don't want to miss out on that. But, yeah, we'll see what New England does, man. We'll see what they do. They might end up drafting a safety out of a school, Middle Tennessee State or something. I don't know. Middle Tennessee University or some crap like that. There's no telling with the Patriots. They're very unpredictable. But, yeah, I'm very excited for this draft. I think that there are a lot of good players. I think that it's very deep, very talented. And it'll be interesting to see how things are presented, being that it's going to be 100% virtual now. Obviously, with the COVID-19 crisis, they're not going to do the draft in its regular state. So they're going to be 100% virtual now. But regardless, I'm just happy to have some semblance of sports. If it's just the NFL draft with a bunch of highlight tapes from last year and a bunch of analysts talking amongst each other, hey, I'm good with that. I am 100% good with that. Very excited to watch it and very excited to see what happens. So that's all I got to talk about today. I'm going to cut it a little bit short. Didn't expect to talk about the draft that long, but I'm going to cut it right there. As always, follow the social media handles in the description. Facebook page, Twitter page, Instagram page if you are not already. I'm going to start linking my YouTube page on there as well. Even though I don't really post anything on there outside of these episodes, Podbeans enables you to auto share to YouTube. But just subscribe anyway because you'll be doing me a huge favor. And I know you love me, so go ahead and do it. You know you want to. But anyway, that's it for me. Hope everybody has a good weekend. As always, count your blessings, not your problems. And I'm out.